Well, good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, I should say. Welcome to EY's Why It's Essential to Lead in AI for the Future of Mobility. Delighted to be back again here at CES. I'm even more excited that tonight, hopefully, my Wolverines will win the national championship. But we're not here to talk about football, we're here to talk about mobility. And you've heard it many times that the mobility industry has gone through massive transformation, massive disruption, but I'm afraid to say we're on the verge of that again. And that's why we believe, and what you're going to hear today, is it extraordinarily important to make sure there are practical, tangible strategies leveraging AI to transform. And also it's all about improving the consumer experience for real benefit. And that's what you're going to hear today. We've got a great panel here with me to go through this today. We have Sabina Scheunaert, formerly from VP Sales Marketing, Digital and IT at Mercedes, and a supervisory board member leading a number of these initiatives across the automotive ecosystem. Damien Barnett from Luxoff Automotive, again, transformational company leading transformation across the ecosystem with that technology platform. And one of my colleagues, Konstantin Gall, who leads our automotive and mobility business in Europe and helps our largest clients think through AI for transformational gain. So that's why we're here today. And so we're going to start with Konstantin. Let's have at it. What are your views as we set the table here?
Thank you. And just to kick us off and quickly set the stage. You might, those of you who are regulars here, remember 10 years back we had a big discussion around autonomous driving. It was the hype back then. Billions and billions have been poured into that, and we might have a very lively debate over a glass of wine or beer or whatever your drink of preference is, whether that has been a success to date or not. This time we call it AI, and if you look at the numbers, they are almost the same size in terms of investment dollars like back then for autonomous. By 2030, we expect that 75 billion have been invested into AI in the automotive space. The question now is, what do we do with that money and how do you commercialize it? What we currently see is three areas where OEMs and tier one suppliers are currently focusing on. We call them proactive care, proactive journey, and proactive mobility. Number one is pretty much everything around the car itself, like procuring the car, insuring the car, making sure maintenance is taken care of, and so on. So how can AI help you there to A, increase customer loyalty, B, make the user experience more seamless, especially in light of electrical vehicles that are less subject to maintenance, you have less contacts and less interaction with your customers, generally speaking. So how can AI be leveraged there? Then you have the proactive journey. The proactive journey is pretty much everything when you commute to A to B. How can AI kind of look at your schedule in the morning? Okay, you have a dentist appointment downtown, you are somewhere in the suburbs. What time would be the best to commute? Because you know what are typical times for congestions on the highway and so on. So that is the second level where we see real benefit if you double down on it. And the last one is proactive mobility. That goes a little bit hand in hand with the topic of autonomous driving. So what can you do while you spend your time in the car? It's the mobile office, it's kind of augmented realities, it's kind of infotainment while you're standing there and waiting at the charging pole to kind of either get into line or to charge the car itself. So those are the things that we see as three major buckets. What you also see, everybody has kind of really gone engaged and got rolling on these topics. We just listed a few here to give you a kind of an overview, and we are lucky enough to have Sabine and Damien with us. Both of them were supporting some of these initiatives, hands-on or first-hand. So what you can see is there's all sorts of digital assistants in the car, which is your Siri equivalent for those who are Apple users. You have kind of totally digitized sales experiences like Rivian with an agency sales model that's 100% offline, so it's totally online, it's totally digitized. You also have kind of 3D interactive sales experiences. You can experience the car, test drive the car like in a video game, and kind of replacing the physical interaction. Those things are currently going on. But, there's a big but. You should not get carried away by the things that technology enables these days. Because if you get carried away, something like this might happen. I give you a second to read. So subject to on what side of the deal you were, you either think it's a great thing having AI out there, or you will kind of curse like hell because you sold your SUV for $1 to a customer. Because the chatbot was actually kind of taking care of your customer interaction with legally binding contract. So that's not what we're gonna do. And in order to avoid exactly these pitfalls and to really embrace and appreciate the opportunities that AI and digitization bring to the customer experience, I think, Randy, we're gonna kick it off with Sabine.
Well, Sabine, you've been leading, again, market-leading companies with this process. So we wanted to talk and ask you, what are the key opportunities and also pitfalls from an OEM perspective that everybody ought to be thinking about as they move forward in this journey?
Yeah, very good question, Randy. Thank you very much for that. I mean, nowadays there is not a single OEM who's not utilizing AI. And I mean, it starts with clear potentials of huge efficiencies. So I think what is absolutely crucial for the car industry is that putting AI in shortening development life cycles or the time for developing cars, which is a real efficiency driver. But also if you think about the production lines, I think there is not a single OEM who has not installed AI in production lines, in particular in quality management. But when it comes to the customer journey, I mean, this is precisely what we know. Call centers are integrating bots now, and we have been doing so. I think 80% of all the queries today are answered by AI, and they sufficiently answer these requests by the customers. So the opportunity is large, absolutely. Pitfalls, definitely, is in choosing your battles. I mean, you have a specific bucket in all the corporations. You need to invest into AI, and you need to understand in where it really starts to pay off. So what we did is we started in predicting maintenance issues. Clearly the after sales is still a pain point, because all the OEMs concentrate primarily on conquering customers, and it costs, I think, 7 times to reconquer someone that you lost. And here, absolutely, the after-sales area is an area which I think can still be developed further. So pitfalls, clearly, you have to understand where the efficiency is and what kind of battle you choose and where you start to integrate AI, because it's something that really concerns the entire organization.
Gotcha, great. Appreciate that. How about in terms of survival and competitiveness? How important is it for companies to really adapt to these changes right now?
Well, I think it is neither nor. It is clearly a competitive advantage, because you will be the one as an OEM leading your customer journey. So when it comes to competitiveness, it is absolutely what you wanted to achieve is standing in forefront and being the one who is steering the customer journey. And hyper-personalization is one of these big bulletin slogan that we currently see in all the OEMs. But it's also somehow, if you think, Randy, about the efficiency potential inside the organizations, stripping down processes, trying also to overcome workforce shortness, which I think we face in some particular areas in that world currently, is about replacing repetitive work by AI, is clearly an efficiency that every OEM needs. So therefore, I think it comes, the two of it together. So you are doing it for competitiveness reasons, but you're also doing it clearly for financial reasons, because the efficiency that you can gain by integrating clever and smartly AI is absolutely huge.
Outstanding. I know, Constantine, you kind of framed it overall. Any kind of reaction to what you just heard from Sabine here?
Just one kind of complimenting comment. The thing, in order to really get it going, what Sabine mentioned, is you really need to get a handle on the entire data management and data integrity. So data governance, data integrity are 2 key topics that we still see today being one of the most challenging parts, especially if you have separate legal entities and kind of in jurisdictions like Europe, where every country has its own data protection and privacy regulations. Kind of merging these data lakes to really allow the AI to have a cohesive view of a customer and a customer journey is one of the most mission critical things. So I think that is one of the key pitfalls that we still struggle. So it's not a lack of ideas in terms of what could be value pools and how to monetize, but it is really kind of bare down kind of grassroots topics we need to solve.
Excellent. Sabina, I'm going to go to you one more time, and then Damien's going to come in here. Now, OEMs need to make choices on where they're going to focus, where they're going to spend their money, what they're really going to be laser beamed around in terms of leveraging AI. Want to get your thoughts on the focus around value pools, or what are the most important areas to really focus on to mine the value out of those value pools, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, as I said already, I think a real gold nugget that not a single OEM has yet solved is by connecting the dots end to end. So if you imagine that vehicles nowadays, they have a lot of sensoric information. I mean, we pretty know what is happening inside the car, whether there is a breakdown, whether there is a parts damaged, yeah? And I'm connecting that in terms of doing a prediction that this missing part, or the one part that probably needs to be repaired soon, could be shipped because we know by geofencing where the customer is located, yeah, and that you don't have to go into an after-sales area, into a dealer organization, and then you have to get that note, yeah, that your part is missing, and you need to wait for another couple of weeks for it. I think this is an annoying part, and being able in now connecting the dots and thinking really end to end, but across the divisional borders that we often face in big corporations. Yeah, so what would it mean? What kind of data would I need to get from the car that I can integrate it into my supply chain application, so that automatically the warehouses could automatically ship that part near to the customer? I think this is one of the clear gold nugget, if I could just mention one.
Excellent. Well, Damien, over to you. You've heard Sabina's views, you've heard a little bit of Konstantin's perspective. You and your team have helped many auto companies across the value chain deal with this. What's your perspectives around this in terms of what's most important, what should be top of mind for those companies going down this path?
Okay, thanks for the question, Randy. I think most importantly, organizations in the industry have to be aware that Gen AI or AI in general is just a new technology. It's not going to solve the many challenges that the industry and the organization has today through digitization. So Konstantin talked about data. We need to really get a grasp on data through whether it's privacy concerns, how do we create a standard data platform? Because without the data, AI falls apart. Because I need that data to really train my large language models in order to really reap the benefits of AI moving forward. And then it's also about focus, right? So today we see in the industry, for very obviously and also understandable reasons, that specifically the OEMs want to have a lot of these technologies under their control. Now, in our opinion, that does not necessarily mean I have to do everything myself. So I need to be able to focus, and I think this will be key for OEMs, really to focus on where they can differentiate, and other activities where there is no differentiation, really to rely on a broader partner ecosystem in order to help drive the transformation that we'll be seeing over the years to come.
Excellent. Well, Sabina, back to you. And again, let's go down the electrification path impact a little bit. With that continuing to transform and also impact the digital sales model, customer loyalty, et cetera. Any perspectives there?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we made up our minds very, very heavily and intensively, because it was not that rush from the customers, in now going full electric. And in the beginning, we were running market studies and also customer feedback groups, and we clearly always got primarily that kind of range anxiety, yeah. And you might now laugh or smile, but it's still the case, as the charging network, yeah, and the density of charging stations, yeah, is in some individual countries not yet at a proper level. automatically customers worry about range anxiety and what it means now for their day-to-day lives. And you know what it is. I mean, time is an asset in itself nowadays, and people don't really want to waste their time in standing and trying to search for a charging station. So we integrated a lot of AI use cases, and here I think it was a first test also inside the organization by creating a kind of an Are You Electric Ready app, which integrated some AI use cases. We also went into the total cost of ownership, but also in terms of that the car itself can integrate the best charging journey in terms of providing you with the most efficient driving experience. And you see that here we are starting in all the OEMs in connecting already the dots beyond divisional classical organizational borderlines. And I think it is absolutely important that we start to integrate data more and more in creating an electric driving experience which is clearly much better than the one that you currently know. But that also means that governments need to start in tapping into that potential. And if I just see and I compare with how Germany currently plans the government in installing the charging network, I mean, they still do it by very demographic, old data, and they should rather tap into the potential of all the OEMs and all the car manufacturers, where all the cars deliver those data points. And here it comes back to what Damon said. I mean, and we need to have not simply that we understand what kind of data I need, but the data needs to be accessible, it needs to be actionable, and it needs to be accurate. Yeah, and then for sure the potential starts to flourish. And I think this is still something where we have to get up our minds and how we are collaborating much better together beyond industries, governments, and also individuals, because at the end it's also the opt-in of the customer that counts, whether he gives you permission in tapping into that potential or not. So if we talk about the switch into electric, I hope that no one here inside the room is criticizing that it's an absolutely must for us as society, because also from a technology perspective, it is a fantastic, phenomenal experience when you're sitting in an electric car. But it needs still a bit more of openness of everyone in making it, and not just talking about it.
Well, that's great. And a related question, and I'm going to ask Damien to comment. What role does the vehicle itself then play? And again, what should be top of mind from an OEM perspective around digitization with the vehicle in the center?
Well, it's a long debate. I mean, I think you see that there are a couple of OEMs who took that decision in creating an own operational system. There are others who simply offered it to big technology key drivers and who somehow gave the screen completely out of their hands. Damien, you mentioned it. I mean, it's always that trade-off. Do I do it by myself? Is that a kind of an edge competitiveness which I'm trying to figure out? And I'm really trying to tap into that. Or is it that I'm trying to collaborate with the biggest partner, probably the one who's leading, in providing my customers something, but then I also have to say it, and then the battle automatically is gone. I mean, you cannot revise it. And if you ask me about the car, I think what is important is also to look a bit into stats, and when it comes to large language models and it comes to AI, quantity and size matters. So we have around, I think the latest evaluations show that we are going to have in 2025, I think 400 million connected cars, running globally, and we are going to have 18 billion mobile devices being connected. And then the question is, I mean, who's going to make it? Is it the bigger quantity, so all the virtual hyper-personalization, is it going rather through the virtual assistants embedded into your mobile devices, or is it then the car? What is, I think, absolutely unquestionable that the car still delivers so many fanatic information about exterior, road consistency, etc., that I really hope that we can nail it down, we can make cars even safer, yeah, in the future, and we can even deliver a much better customer experience, but also driving experience by utilizing AI. But at the end, it stays open for me, yeah, who's going to win the race. Is it the mobile device or is it the other mobility device, car? I think time and future is going to show us.
Outstanding. Well, Damien, you've heard kind of that OEM view. What about from your lens? What do you think is most important and the biggest challenges that the OEMs need to be thinking about to drive this digitization journey and make AI something that's a differentiator?
Well, I think, as I already mentioned, everybody in the industry has to understand it's not going to solve all the problems that are out there. And I think if we look at the industry today in digitization and software, specifically in the vehicle, there's still a few basics that we need to master. And when we look at AI, I think that there's